what job would you want to have right now that's open?
That's a good question. So you're saying
the seven head coaches that were fired. You got Reed, which was no surprise. You have what's his name in Arizona, who was no surprise.
See, I felt Wisenhunt. I don't want to say a surprise because you feel like a head coach should know I need to go get me a quarterback. But at the same time, I was a little surprised because that team, they played hard for him. They just aren't as good.
Yeah, but I mean, you saw the writing on the wall though. Nobody.
It's his third losing season in a row.
It was his time. You got Philbin up there with Cleveland. You got who else got canned? Jacksonville's coach, right? He got canned as well.
Yeah.
You got.
I got them all written down. Arizona fires Ken Wisenhunt.
Yeah.
Chicago fires Lovie Smith.
Cleveland
fires Pat Shurmur. And don't forget, Cleveland also fires Mike Holmgren, who already has said he was their GM. He said that if the right team came asking, he'd be their head coach. He's led 2 teams to a Super Bowl, 1-1. San Diego fires Norv Turner. Philly fires Andy Reid. Buffalo fires Chan Gailey. And Kansas City fires Romeo Crennel. If I had to look at all those jobs and say to myself, which one do I think I have the best chance immediately to do something, it's got to be, I personally would take either the Chicago or Philly job.
Yeah, well, they're the teams with the 2 most talent on.
Yeah, and if I had to pick just one specifically, then I'm going to say Chicago.
I think anybody would, though.
Yeah,
you got some pieces there in Marshall. Even Cutler, even though he's sporadic at times. He's one of those guys to me that's on like the same level as a Romo. On the same level as a Phillip Rivers.
And I actually think Cutler could be better than both of them. Because
at times, but there are other times he makes way worse mistakes.
He's overly confident in how hard he can throw a ball and what he can do with a football. I agree with that, but I think if you gave Cutler, or if you gave all 3 of those quarterbacks the best offensive line you could put together, I think Cutler does the most with it. Because he has the athleticism to move around and run around if he has to. But out of the 3 quarterbacks, nobody can throw the ball as hard as that guy can. He puts a missile when he throws that ball really hard if he wants to.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick, I would definitely go with the Chicago job.
I thought so. That's why. I mean, I would go with the same. That's why I didn't want to spend a lot of time on that.
But I think it would be if I had to say though, I think it'd be the most fun. Like the most fun to take either the Buffalo or Cleveland job. The most fun. Like if you're one of those guys that likes to build a franchise, like there's certain like Bill Parcells to me. Like he wants to win a Super Bowl. But he's a guy that I think he likes building talent and making teams better. And I think that's why he took the Miami job. I think that's why he dealt with Jerry Jones in Dallas as long as he did. It was because he had an opportunity. He was able to bring in players that he liked, and I think he enjoys that. So, like, I look at Cleveland, you're like, well, you're already going to give me Trent Richardson. I got Joe Hayden.
Who played the last 9 games with broken ribs, by the way.
See, I didn't know that. He's a tough player,
He came out and said that. 9 games he played with some broken ribs.
Roll Tide, right?
Yeah.
But I don't like Whedon. I'm not going to lie. I don't like Whedon. But I love Richardson. You got Joe Thomas at left tackle, so I've already got my franchise left tackle. I've got Hayden on the outside in my secondary, so I already got a pretty damn good cornerback. My defense at times has shown a lot of talent. My wide receivers at times have looked like they're pretty good.
I'm still not sold on Whedon, though.
I don't like Whedon either. But I just, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think the Cleveland job could be fun. And then Buffalo, look, I don't really like Ryan Fitzpatrick, but he can put up some stats. I like Stevie Johnson. I like the combination of Spiller and Fred Jackson in my backfield. If you can get somebody to coach up your freaking defense, you got all the potential in the world on defense. I mean, they really do. You got a first-round pick in Marcel Darius on your D-line. You got the first-round pick in the cornerback that they drafted this past year. I can't remember his name off the top of my head. I think he came from South Carolina. And then Mario Williams, your big free agent signing, still in the prime of his career. Like, you got a lot of pieces you can play with in Buffalo too. So like, if I was a guy that wanted to build a team and really, make my product, I would love either one of those jobs. I think both of those places could be fun. Just to put a twist on the question. Because I know where you're coming from. That question of where would you rather go, I think it's a good question, but at the same time, the answer is a little easier to come up with. Let me ask you, though. Out of the teams that fired the 7 head coaches, and we're going to take Chicago out of it because they have, most importantly, a quarterback they trust, and they have a lot of pieces that you can already use.
Running back, receiver, good
The
defense.
rest of the teams, though, quarterback remains in question. Even look, Foles and Philly.
No, I'm not saying Foles. I'm saying if you were going quarterback-wise, you got to take San Diego out of the mix, too.
Okay.
Phillip Rivers ain't going anywhere.
All right, so let's take San Diego and Chicago out, and then you got Arizona, Cleveland, Philadelphia, Kansas City, Buffalo, and we'll even say the freaking Jets. They didn't fire their head coach, but they fired their general manager. Who in God's green earth has any opportunity? Like, how do I phrase this? All right, let's phrase it this way. Out of those teams, which one do you think has a chance to find a serviceable quarterback that can get them to the playoffs? Whether it be Alex Smith or whether it be, whoever might hit the free agent market. Arizona, Cleveland, Philly, Buffalo, Kansas City.
There's a couple of good ones there. I mean, honestly, if you could get a good enough if you can get a pretty good quarterback, Arizona wouldn't be a bad team.
No, I agree. Darnell Dockett, Calais Campbell on the D-line.
They Patrick Peterson. They got some pieces on defense. They have one of the best offensive weapons in the league on offense in Larry Fitzgerald.
That poor man.
They just have nobody to get him the damn ball. Ryan Lindley isn't going to cut it. I look at it too. Philly with McCoy, with Jackson and Macklin. Even Selleck's a pretty good tight end.
Selleck.
They have talent. I would want to go to Philly. If I'm an Alex Smith, I'm looking at, now I know they have Nick Foles and they're probably going to stick with him, so I'm not going to jump on any bandwagons there.
Well, I mean, that's
but
all.
Philly
that
would
to
be
me
a
is
good
based
job
on
as
who
well.
You bring in,
My question to you, where does Vic land?
Well,
I don't think he would be good in Arizona.
Well, I don't think you put Vic with Andy Reid again. And if Andy Reid's going to Arizona, look, I think even Andy Reid knows that the Vic thing backfired on him. I think he knows it. Between not being able to stay healthy and Michael Vick still naturally looks to run before throwing. He makes his first read, but he's not the guy that's going to, like, you watch Griffin in the pocket, not to use a rookie, but when you watch Robert Griffin in the pocket, he goes read 1, read 2, read 3, and then considers bailing. Where Michael Vick maybe goes 2 reads and then he's gone. He's out. He's like, I'm gone. I'm not standing here. I'm gone. Now, some of that's credited to the fact that their offensive line was just atrocious this year, but I don't care. The Vic thing backfired on Reid, so I don't think he goes to Arizona. Now, could I see him maybe ending up in Kansas City? A little more of a low-key thing. You got Jamal Charles, Peyton Hillis, Dwayne Bowe, Jonathan Baldwin, Moyaki. You got some pieces offensively you can work with. I think Kansas City has holes all over the place on their team after watching 16 full games of them, a team I predicted to win the AFC West or at least push Denver for it. So I completely bombed on that one. Any which way, I could see Kansas City. I think the Jets are a good option just because Rex has to get back to running the ball. He just has to. But I don't think they go with Vic.
I think Vic would be a bad option there.
I don't think the New York market or just all around.
No, the fit with Rex Ryan, I don't think would be very good.
Yeah. And not to mention, think about what it would cost them to sign Vic and keep Sanchez on the roster, or even cover Sanchez. He's still costing you $8 million on your cap this year.
I'm just saying,
if you cut him.
I look at the teams that need a quarterback, and I don't think he's going to Jacksonville because I think everybody's on the consensus that Tebow's going to end up there. I don't think he goes to Philly, obviously, for the reasons of Nick Foles. He's definitely not going to Chicago or to any team that really, either just drafted a quarterback or who has a quarterback. Where does he go? And I'm thinking in my head, Vic, the more I think about it, and I know they gave a bunch of money to Ryan Fitzpatrick, but maybe he'd be good up in Buffalo. I don't know. I just don't know a place for Michael Vick right now. Maybe Kansas City, but would Michael Vick really want to go to Kansas City?
He might not have a choice.
I mean, you got to go where the money is, and you got to go where they need you. But
you got to go where you can get a job. He doesn't want to retire yet.